Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Ninja Selling Podcast. I'm Rob Nelson, and today Jessika Mayer, Ninja Selling Instructor, is here to tell us why right now is the most exciting time in real estate. Jessika, why is this so exciting?
Well, it's funny you would ask that question because I think most people, if you say, why is this the most exciting time in real estate? They would be like, wait, what? But I think it's because there's a plethora of opportunities at our fingertips that if we can change the way that we look at things, the things that we look at change, right? And so just looking at things a little differently and focusing on what we can control and the relationships that we serve and serving those well is really the key and the answer to having a great business in today's market.
This story originates with Jessika preparing a keynote presentation. You do many of these all over the country. And about 6 weeks ago, you said, I'm looking for a sounding board on this idea that I have for a presentation in New Orleans. And we were talking through all of the change, all the things that we know about, because they clog up our inbox with what the announcement of the day is. And I said, the one thing you can't deny is that there is a lot of excitement right now. And the reality is the excitement could be ours because we have a business that is exciting us. And there were three things that you and I really honed in on. The first of them was the markets are very fun right now. And you have the pleasure of traveling all over the country. In the past 6 or 8 weeks, you've been in Orange County and New Orleans and Chicago and throughout Kansas and Texas and Ohio. You've been many places in your role as an instructor for Ninja Selling. And you've found themes, differences, but at the end of the day, why is this fun right now?
I feel consumer confidence is at an all-time low as far as who do I go to? What source can I go to? Who can I really trust to give me accurate information? And it's not AI. AI is a great tool, but I mean, I know any of us have logged on to AI and maybe gotten a response that wasn't accurate. And so that's not a proven trusted source. The NAR statistic that 90% of all consumers who bought or sold last year worked with a realtor that they knew and trusted or got a referral from someone that they trusted. So consumer confidence and trust is really the name of the game, which Ninja's all about that, building relationships with people that know you, like you, and trust you. And so that's, I think, what makes it exciting is there's really no competition. Just look in the mirror. And I think we're seeing that all over, no matter what market you're in, no matter if you have no inventory, whether you're still receiving multiple offers or houses are sitting on the market, that consumer confidence of trust and building those relationships where you become the person they know is their trusted advisor is gaining momentum like we've never seen before.
Bob Sutton and I were working on something about a year ago where we talked about paddling out and the surfing analogy of if you're behind the wave, there's no chance you're going to catch it. You have to get ahead of a wave. And the wave is here. Whether the wave is change or the wave is change in people's lives, there has been this natural wind in our sails over the last 90 days. And many markets are telling us a story of things are transacting. Maybe they're sitting on the market longer than they were before, but realtors with skills are seeing their businesses increase significantly. And there are also a lot of people who are sitting there saying, when is this going to benefit me? And it will, it can. One of the things, Jessika, if you're in one of these situations where you're saying, okay, I see that the market has turned to the advantage or disadvantage of my business, what is the scorecard doing when you've seen people in that situation?
I'm actually using the scorecard with a couple different companies in different markets, and we're seeing the trajectory of gaining momentum, of building that relationship of value happen at a great speed. For example, we had a newer agent in a company I work with in Chicago, and he has not done a ton of business. He was doing the scorecard. It wasn't perfect, but he was doing the activities, turning the scorecard in, and he landed his first $750,000 listing. And he said, it's just because of the scorecard. It's the activities. And the scorecard helps you see the activities that you're actually doing and then trying to get to 74 points or higher to get the business that's out there for you with people that already know you, like you, and trust you.
We've often said that by doing the Ninja activities, in particular flow, if you're in flow with people, you'll see the tide turn in your own business in 6 to 8 weeks has always been our time frame. However, we're seeing the truth being a little bit shorter than that right now. And I think some of the momentum comes from cyclical things and the amount of flow that people are having going into spring. But tell us the stories that you've heard of people changing the trajectory of their business dramatically in 3 to 4 weeks.
It goes back to we share in the installation thing 1 and thing 2. And those are the biggest results that we're seeing in a short period of time of just the 50 live interviews. If you are contacting face-to-face, voice-to-voice 50 people a week, you're going to be top of mind when they're experiencing the change. And that's all it is. And what we're finding is people aren't having that many conversations using our 5-step calling process, using Forward, really listening. And so that's been a change that I've seen with many, many agents where they're just having more natural conversations with people that already know them, like them, and trust them. And then providing item of value, which is real estate reviews.
Yeah.
It's easy to think you're doing this, but when you actually track it, I've had a few track it and then realize, oh, my point value is way lower than I thought it was. And it takes them back to the basics of doing the activities to create the result, which we know at the end of the day is being top of mind.
We've had to go both ways. We've had ninjas that have incredible businesses that have stalled out a little bit, get back to the scorecard and realize that they're doing 20 to 25 points worth of activities in a week. A lot of the things that got them the success that they enjoyed for a long time, they stopped doing. And we've also had ninjas who are flatlined and said, I'm going to crank this thing up. They're hitting 100 or even 70 points in a week, and things are shifting dramatically. If you are in flow with enough people, having enough forward conversations, asking questions about what's going on in their life and listening for change, it seems to evolve faster than any of us thought it would.
I have an agent in California and she is newer, and her first full year in real estate was actually 2024, and she had a gross commission income of about $75,000. And then she really honed into the Ninja 9, doing the activities every single day. And in 2025, she broke $200,000 in gross commission income. And she said
amazing.
it's really the Ninja habits that made that happen for her.
And the perspective that the market is fun. That was our first thing, is regardless of where you are and what's happening, if you can frame this as a fun time to be in this profession, to provide the guidance that people are looking for and to help them navigate the change in their lives, this market can be tremendously fun. The second thing, Jessika, is that the change that we're experiencing in this industry, it can be our advantage. Tell us a little bit about that, because we all know what's changing, but how do we use that to our advantage?
The advantage is the focus, really focusing on the good and not the fear. And I've seen that over a lot of different markets, and a lot of different agents are afraid. They're like, what is going to happen next? Who's taking over what? And you end up spending all of your energy on the circle of concern, which are things you cannot change, instead of focusing on the control and the things you can change. Knowing that, and then knowing that there's still change occurring all throughout people's lives, and positioning yourself as that trusted advisor is the key to being able to have those relationships that then produce that trust balance with your client. So I think just really focusing and not listening to the noise, focusing on what you want and value, not on what you fear or see as a threat. And then there's no competition. As people are focusing on the fear and what's happening in the marketplace, who's taking over what, the ninjas that we're seeing that have the biggest success are the agents all throughout the nation, including myself being one who still sells real estate, is just focusing on the relationships, creating value, and having those live conversations with people. And when they ask you about the market, having the market data at your fingertips to where you can share that as their trusted advisor.
Many agents have experienced some form of structural change, and our clients are reading about this in the news. Real estate is more top of mind for people than it ever has been. It's a huge piece of the economy. The reporting on it is plentiful across all outlets, and real estate is on people's minds right now. And if you are focused on being the source of real estate knowledge for your people, you have the distinct advantage over many of the other agents that they all know who are focused on things that are out of their control or changes that they have nothing to do with. And if you're just focusing on relationship and being in flow during these times, you may get some really interesting questions and be able to talk about the things that are exciting about this change.
And I 100% agree with that. And through Ninja, with our systems and processes, we've put those who follow the path in the perfect opportunity to, one, be able to communicate effectively, but two, to have systems and processes in place like our listing launch, like our seller consultation, where we are still seeing in markets that maybe there shouldn't be multiple offers occurring because of the way the agent has positioned that property through the processes we share in Ninja. And I just had that happen with a property 2 weeks ago. I thought it was going to sit on the market 30 to 60 days. And we did the listing launch, and we ended up with 2 over asking cash offers in less than 48 hours. And we did not expect that at all. The market did not support that. But again, it just goes back to the systems and processes. Back in 2020, we just threw a sign in the yard and we had multiple offers. We're now having to go back to the basics of, okay, what structure do we have in place to give a reliable experience to our clients that can produce the result no matter what market we're in?
The interesting thing about what you just said is you managed all of the expectations and a process around the seller relationship, but the buyer and their agent had a high degree of confidence to come in with over ask cash offers because of your process. It's probably a combination of process and reputation and the property specific attributes and pricing strategy and all of these things. But it's impossible to point to what one thing you do when you do them all as part of your process. And that is the magic.
Yes, I couldn't agree more, especially now in the markets that we are in. There's a lot of inventory shortage, but then you're still seeing where buyers are even more now picky. And so how are you sharing that with your seller in a way where we're not overpowering and trying to control any of the decisions, but we're giving them good information to where they are making good quality decisions?
The point of section 2 here, where the change is so exciting and it can be used to our advantage, is that because of the change, the migration toward professional, the migration toward proactive, trusted advisor has become a very clear preference of clients. Despite all of the things that have happened in the last 5 years in our industry, the number and percentage of people using a realtor remains as high as it's ever been. And as ninjas, your process is the thing that will differentiate you as these situations like Jessica's, where you've got multiple offers coming in on a property you didn't expect. It's the result of that. Even though things are slightly different in our world, our process never changes and the results subsequently follow.
Yes, and that's where we're seeing the distinction between the mass of agents and the ones who do have systems and processes. So if you are following systems and processes like we teach in Ninja, that's where that excitement comes from, is that we know that there are people out there looking for exactly what we're providing.
The third thing that we came up with about why this is the most exciting time to be in real estate has to do with the fact that there is really nothing to be afraid of.
It's so true. It is so easy. If you get on any type of social media for probably 60 seconds, you're going to see some negativity towards real estate companies, towards the market, towards agents. It's very easy to get caught up in the noise. There's so many things out there being shared. It's not even the truth of what's happening. And so I think if you can just go back to the circles of influence, control, and concern and focus on the things that you can control, which is your own narrative, your own feeling, that vibe that you're giving out to where people feel confident that you not only can help them, but you do believe it's still a great time to buy or sell real estate. And we can shut out all of the noise and not listen to it, then that's where we actually can walk around thinking, this is a great market. What a great time to be in real estate. We have so many great things going for us in the United States and as agents and as trusted advisors, just separating out how we feel versus the noise that's out there and not listening to it.
The other side of it is we have nothing to fear because we have relationships. There's a few times in our lives where we rely on the absolute best. When the stakes are high, we bring our best, and you bring your best relationships with you as well. And there are few things in life that are higher stakes than a real estate transaction. That's what makes this magical for us, the infrequent nature, the high stakes of it, the complexity of it. And that's where people will always want advice. And the advice is coming from a lot of different places. There was probably 6 months ago a story about somebody in Florida who sold their house using ChatGPT. And that's great. Somebody did that and it was newsworthy apparently. And thousands of people that same day sold their property with a proactive, trusted advisor, a real estate agent who was acting in their best interest, and that didn't make the news. And I think sometimes what doesn't make the news is the stuff that wouldn't make us fearful. And what does is the stuff that does make us fearful. And for every person that's doing something that sort of seems against the grain, we still have opportunities to connect with the people in our lives and guide them through these complex, infrequent, and high-stakes processes.
I 100% agree. And it's easy to get distracted and think, okay, well, I got to make sure I have the right Google profile so I get found on the chat sites. And I'm not saying those can't be used as resources, but as resources, that would be what you would focus on if you're chasing the 10%. So if 90% of all consumers last year used a realtor that they knew and trusted or referred somebody to someone they trusted, we're not chasing the 10%. So at the end of the day, does that really matter? Because if we come up in a chat search or not, they're not getting it from a chat search. They're getting it from someone that they trust as a referral or the number from their phone because you already are in their contact. They're getting your mailings, your auto flow. And what are we focusing on? And what are we chasing? And again, we don't chase in Ninja, we attract. And how we attract is having items of value and being in relationships. And when that change occurs, we can be there to solve and serve and help.
One of the most powerful realizations I've had about this is we are not going to get in the way of consumers using AI to ask questions and gain insights. And Jessika, you have this story about going to a restaurant after you were dead set on needing a great patio to lounge on. Tell us about that, because there's a story for realtors in that.
It is so true, because I think anybody, if I was to say, have you put something into chat and received a response that was not correct? Almost anybody's going to say yes. And that's exactly what happened to me. Since I do get the opportunity to travel all over, a lot of times I look for a place to unplug. And so I put into chat, give me the top couple patios in this area. And I went to two. Neither had a patio, neither. And on chat, it said it did. So again, I don't think there's a consumer confidence trust in chat, and maybe there will be, but again, chat will never replace the trusted advisor of relationship. When people are looking to get information, they're probably going to chat. But at the end of the day, when they say, okay, who can I trust to give me accurate information? I know I can go to Jessika, or I know I can go to the agent that I have a relationship with outside of the internet.
One of the most powerful things that can happen is when that client holds up that mirror and says, hey, I actually got this information from AI about the situation, and I want your thoughts on it. Because you are reflecting back the relationship of trust that they have. You are their personal source of real estate knowledge. There's nothing that we're going to do to prevent people from trying to gain insights or double checking what their gut or what other advice they're receiving says. And when they come back to you with that, that should be one of the most flattering reflections of your relationship.
Definitely the age of information is out there. We have so much information out there. So I don't think they're necessarily going to the realtor just for basic information. But when they now are thinking, okay, is this information correct? Because now it affects me, whether I'm looking to buy or sell, that's then where they're contacting that agent that they trust.
Yeah. And if you reframe the whole thing into your scenario, Jessika, if you had stood in front of the class of 50 real estate agents who are community experts and said, listen, here are the two patios that AI recommended to me, which one would you guys visit tonight? You probably would have learned pretty quickly that number one, neither has a patio. And number two, there's a hidden spot somewhere. The locals hang out with the best patio, the coolest live music, the drinks are always great. And that's the personal touch that we're really looking for.
No matter what information is out there, how much access people have to information, it will never replace that trust level that somebody has with a person. It just will never happen.
I know when you closed out your keynote in New Orleans on the concept of this being the most exciting time to be in real estate, it just blew away the room. So I want you to close us out with why this is the most exciting time in real estate and what you shared with those people that left them leaving that room saying, I can do this.
It was twofold. The first is the realization that 90% of all consumers last year used an agent that they trusted or got a referral from an agent they trusted. Only 10% works with strangers. So that alone opened up the mind to say, well, if that's true, then maybe my focus and attention is on the wrong thing. And then the second part of that is the most valuable gift you have to offer. The most valuable gift that you have to offer is yourself. There's only one of you that will ever be on this planet, and the relationships that you have are unique to you. Your perspective, your relationships, what you have to give and serve others, there's never going to be another one of you. And so if we focus on why do we exist? We exist to help our clients go from the life they have to the life they dream about. And if we can really hold on to that as our purpose, it is a game changer. It changes everything. And so just going back to the basics of looking at what you can control and then seeing that you have value because of who you are. And there will never be another you ever.
That combination is the 1 + 1 = 3. The system, Ninja Selling, is a system. It is the science of relationship. The artistry of relationship is you, your natural approach, and the realization that your authentic self is the best thing you can pair with a system to serve your clients at the highest level, because the truth is they love you. That's why they let you in.
In any market, no matter what's happening, if you focus on those things, you're going to have more business than you know what to do with.
Jessika, this was tremendously exciting for us to learn about the most exciting time in real estate. Thank you so much for being here. Is there anything you want to send the ninjas off with?
Thank you for listening. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I would just say, taking that moment and saying, the most valuable gift I do have to offer is myself. And walking out that vibe and that energy will just attract people to you.
I love it. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
If you enjoyed this episode, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com to learn more about ninja selling classes and coaching to get you started or further your journey on the ninja path.
Thank you for joining us. Now go have an incredible day.